Hello, my name is Caden. This is Castle Tutelage, your home defense network. Every once in a while, we'll get this topic popping out for home defense and rubberized bullets or beanbags. And there is always a little bit of a caveat to this, where they believe that if I use and this is the term that they usually use, and it is completely incorrect. If I use a non-lethal round, like a rubber bullet or a beanbag, it's going to make me look like I am a better human being when I shoot somebody. Well, first of all, it's not a non-lethal round. It's actually called less than a lethal round because the person can still be fatally wounded by using these things, and it's just a very small way of looking at things. Now, this guy I came across, he's a megastar on YouTube. I've never seen him before. He has over 500,000 subscribers, so you know that he's not in general full of doo-doo. Okay, he seems like he is some kind of martial arts expert, and I will take it at that. Since he does have that many subscribers, you know he's more than likely not full of doo-doo. Okay, I'm gonna let you listen to 2 minutes of his video, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to discuss some of those points that are just absolutely wrong. He does interwove things with pearls of wisdom, and it is very for me, I think a majority of his advice is good. I think it is wholly wrong when you are trying to combine home defense with less than lethal rounds. And I'll get more into that as it goes on. But this will go on for 2 minutes.
Which is, in one way, it's a very good choice because that way you're safer in legal terms in the aftermath, because then you can show, hey, I have loaded rubber projectiles. I was not intending to kill that person, but I was still able to defend my home. So that's better in that way. And also, if it's somebody who just wants to steal your stuff, then killing them over just that, of course, is not justifiable, also morally. So if you can scare them off, if you just hurt them a little with rubber bullets, and that's a good choice. However, if that's not enough, and they're not really enough to stop a determined attacker, then you may be in trouble. And if they start shooting at you or rushing you with a knife, you may not have enough time to load your hot round, so to speak, your actual lethal ammo. The firearm could still be useful for just scaring them off. And that's really the main goal, in my opinion. Your main goal, if somebody breaks into your house, is to chase them off. I don't think your goal should be to kill them or to maim them or to disable them, unless they attack you first, of course. But the main goal is get them away, because you don't need a fight. That's not what you want. You just want them to get them out of your house or your apartment or whatever it is. That's really your main goal. So brandishing a firearm is very, very likely to scare them off, because somebody who's just out to steal some stuff is most likely not in the mindset that they want to risk their lives. It happens that somebody's on drugs or so desperate, or maybe they themselves feel that threatened in that moment that they start a real fight. It's possible, but in most situations, I'm pretty sure that would help. Okay, let me actually.
Okay, that is what he has discussed, and I want to go through some of these points that he had, and I'm going to be stopping the video at a certain point, and I'm going to insert my opinion into this, and just go from there. Okay, so let's go through this one more time.
In one way, it's a very good choice because that way you're safer in legal terms in the aftermath, because then you can show, hey, I have loaded rubber projectiles. I was not intending to kill that person.
Well, let's just put this fallacy by the the roadside. Let's bury this fallacy once again. Rubberized bullets If you truly believe that your life is in danger or great bodily harm, you're going to be firing your gun to stop the threat. You're not going to be firing the gun to neutralize the threat, to maim the threat, because you can actually get into more trouble if trying to like wing the person. That is something that the law is going to say, well, if you're just meant to wing the person, you probably weren't afraid of your life or great bodily harm. Okay. Um, that is something that is just an abject a fallacy. The only time, whether you have rubberized bullets or a beanbag, that you fire the trigger is when proportionality comes to avail and you have to use deadly force immediately on a here and now basis. So if you truly believe that you're going to have your hands in your hat in your hands when you go to the prosecutor and say, hey, Mr. Prosecutor, the reason why I shot less than lethal rounds on this person because I just wanted to scare him or get him away. I didn't want to kill him. Well, the moment you chose to put your finger on the trigger and pull, that is the moment that you chose to use deadly force. Okay, so this is a little bit of a fallacy, and we'll keep on going.
But I was still able to defend my home. So that's better in that way. And also, if it's somebody who just wants to steal your stuff, then killing them over just that, of course, is not justifiable.
Well, yes, if someone goes in there and just wants to steal your stuff, okay, I'm a strong proponent of not engaging these people. I'll get blasted on that with these YouTube operators on there who get into a macho saying, "Oh, if you come and steal my stuff, I'm just going to pull you away, bang, 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 bang. Let the lead fly." um, People who put that on social media are just simple minded in the long run. If someone's going to be stealing your stuff, you don't want to make a contact. You want to avoid a contact as much as possible. And that's why I talk about defending a choke point, like a hallway door frame or a staircase, that kind of thing. And, you go from there. Again, with an alarm system, you press one button and you have a bunch of alarms at 110 decibels just blaring away, that kind of thing. You want to have tools in your home that will let the burglar know that you are there and you don't want to make contact whatsoever. But if the person, and I talk about this in, especially with California, California's castle doctrine is interesting that if the person breaks down your door, their intent is there. But if they just open the door and they walk into the house and walk straight toward the TV as you're watching it, take the TV and leave, well, you weren't in threat of life, immediate threat of life or great bodily harm. Okay, would you be able to defend yourself right there? Where would you shoot someone who just picked up a TV and left? I mean, the pearl of wisdom is there, but it is really misplaced when you combine it with a rubberized bullet. If Are you going to be shooting somebody with a rubberized bullet? Well, again, as soon as you pull that trigger, lethal force.
Also morally. So if you can scare them off, if you just hurt them a little with rubber bullets, and that's a good choice. However, if that's not enough, and they're not really enough to stop a determined attacker.
See, and this is a very important point where he weaves it with pearls of wisdom. Okay, beanbags rounds aren't designed to take the person out of the fight. I've spoken about this a lot. Home invasion robberies. You will almost always be invading your home between 2 and 5 people storming your home with an overwhelming force. Using a beanbag round may not take that first person out of the house, out of the fight. And if 5 are storming you, well, you just spent a round, and still 5 can still go after you. How do the police? I'll save that for a little bit. And I'll just say this: why do police use beanbag rounds and rubber? Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Then you may be in trouble. And if they start shooting at you or rushing you with a knife, you may not have enough time to load your hot round, so to speak, your actual lethal ammo.
Yeah, he talks about actually loading your hot round, and this is where progressive loading and shotgun really came to avail. Early in my YouTube, in this channel's career, there I have he still makes comments every now and again. This must have been about 3 or 4 years ago, or even longer now. While I was still living in California, he used to talk about having a shotgun for home defense, and then progressive loading his tube in the shotgun. Basically, what progressive loading is, you start off with maybe a rubberized beanbag kind of a situation, and you each shot that you go elevates the threat. You go from beanbag to birdshot to buck to slug, that kind of an idea. And he was basically he was saying that the reason why I put two um, rubberized shotgun double odd buck shotgun pellets rubberized is that in case someone breaks through the door and I shoot them and it turns out to be a neighbor. Well, my first response is, well, you need to identify who you're shooting, especially in California, if it is a neighbor kid. And this is one of the things that happens with track homes. People do get confused with what home goes to where, especially when they're drunk late at night. That if they're breaking into the home, they truly believe that it's their home. And if it is a neighbor kid, California law says you can't shoot them, okay, unless you're an immediate threat. So my first response is, well, don't shoot your neighbor, okay? Identify who the threat is, and you go from there. Um, and I forgot, let me see what.
The firearm could still be useful for just scaring them.
Okay, yeah. And as far as the progressive loading goes, so after the rubberized bullet, it goes to buckshot, and you just progressively go through there. One thing that progressive loaders, the people who advocate progressive loading, don't take in consideration is that they only think that they're going to be attacked by one person. And again, that's not the statistics when you're dealing with home invasions. It's almost always going to be between 2 and 5 people storming your home with quick and overwhelming force. So if you are loading your tube for one person, you're going to be severely behind the power curve, especially since if you only have a 5 shot or 4 shot shotgun, and then trying to do speed loading or feeding the tube or whatever you want to do with a shotgun, you're going to be seriously behind the power curve.
Off, and that's really the main goal in my.
Again, this guy has pearls of wisdom. The main goal that you want to do is scare the people off. Are you going to scare the people off by shooting at them? No. If you truly are fear for your life for great bodily harm, you are not going to want to scare them by shooting a gun. That means to me, anyway, that you are not an immediate threat of death or great bodily harm. You just aren't. Just remember the castle doctrine. The only thing that the castle doctrine removes in the majority of the situations, depending on the state, and this is a generalized statement, is that it only removes the duty to retreat. Okay, and that's going to be different from state to state. Like if it's a roommate or an invited guest, there are some of those caveats to that from state to state as far as the castle doctrine is concerned. So that is going to be a generalized statement. So do not use a gun to try to scare them off. I think an alarm is a better viable way to scare them off than showing them a gun.
Opinion. Your main goal, if somebody breaks into your house, is to chase them off. I don't think your goal should be to kill them or to maim them or to disable them unless they attack you first, of course.
See, again, he has pearls of wisdom in there. You're not there to maim them, okay? The law doesn't allow you to wig a person. The law only allows you to use your gun, pull the trigger to stop the threat. You're not there to kill the threat, and he's dancing around it a little bit. So he has pearls of wisdom there, but he is missing the most important point.
But the main goal is get them away, because you don't need a fight. That's not what you want. You just want them to just want to get them out of your house.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean with the alarm system. By pressing one button, your alarm goes off. The siren is going. And that same button, you can have lights flashing on and off the house and just creating a bunch of havoc in there. that by definition, you're putting up a fight and you're not engaging the bad guy.
Or your apartment or whatever it is. That's really your main goal. So brandishing a firearm is very, very likely to scare them off because
Again, yes, brandishing a firearm is going to, again, John Farnham talks about this a lot of times. He talks about it more in a CCW point of view, that if you present your firearm, 29 times out of 30, the guy's going to see it and run away. Those are statistical statistical fact as far as John Farnham is concerned. So do not rely on it. Again, I don't think your main goal is to brandish a firearm. I think if your life was in danger, if up to all 5 of them, again, we're dealing with the Castle doctrine. So innocence, imminence, proportionality, avoidance, and reasonableness. Avoidance is going to be, in general, drop from your requirements, and you go from there. Again, you still must have innocence, eminence, proportionality, avoidance, and reasonableness. And the people who are saying, no, you can just blow them away because of the Castle doctrine, blah, blah, blah. Not true. You still need up to all four of those scenarios to deal with. So brandishing a firearm is, if it's there, it could be, and I'm going to have this one in a later video. Brandishing a firearm could give you an assault charge. It's just the way it is, and I'll go through several states exactly what the definition of assault is. People believe that you can just pull out your gun and they're going to see the gun and run away. Well, the bad guy can call the cops and put an assault charge on you, and it's going to stick. Okay, people are going, no, you're wrong. Sorry, you're wrong. Continue with this.
Somebody who's just out to steal some stuff is most likely not in the mindset that they want to risk their lives. It happens that somebody's on drugs or so desperate, or maybe they themselves feel that threatened in that moment that they start a real fight. It's possible, but in most situations, I'm pretty sure that would help. Okay, let me actually.
Okay, I just want to complete it. The reason why police officers use rubberized bullets or beanbags, it's usually for crowd control. It's not a one-on-one. You'll never have a police department who will authorize a police officer to use a beanbag round on a one-on-one situation, and that's basically what you're going to be doing in a hotel, in your own home. If it is one-on-one, again, would you want to use a beanbag round when 5 people are storming through your door? Personally, no. I wouldn't want to have a beanbag round because, in general, it's not going to take the person out of the fight. It just will not do that, whether it's rubberized or beanbag. The other reason why police will use that type of round is if there is some kind of a nut job with a knife and he's in a street and he's threatening to kill himself, like what the police can do is maybe hit him with a beanbag round or a rubberized bullet, but he has several other officers that have the ability for lethal rounds being used. Okay, again, you'll never have a police department who, let's just say the officer gets out of the squad car with a shotgun. The first round, they don't progressive load. The first round will not be a rubberized bullet, a beanbag. It's more than likely going to be in a color-coded shotgun in the trunk. Okay, so the main point of this video is you're not going to be using that type of ammunitions to come back with your hat in your hands to the prosecutor and say, see, I'm a good person because I wasn't trying to kill him. You're never trying to kill him. You're trying to stop the threat. And if 2 to 5 people are storming your home with quick and overwhelming force in a home invasion robbery, you want them to be taken out of the fight. I'm sorry. My name is Caden. This is Castle Tutelage, your home defense network. I hope this helped.